Hello, everybody. Welcome to class this afternoon. If you're watching this live or you're watching the recording, thank you for watching. I always appreciate that. And so right off the bat, a lot of you, especially those of you who have been in my online classes before and who have experienced these types of live streams and things like that before, you might be picking up a bit of a different vibe. Right? And that's because these live streams, my intention for these live streams is to be a bit of a different vibe. Right? Or I guess have a bit of a different vibe. I am in my late 30s after all. I'm not sure if something can be you can have a vibe, you can be a vibe. It is, whatever it is. Anyway, these live streams are going to be different, right? And I'd like them to be different. And ideally, I'd like them to be where more of you can show up, because what I want to do here is I want to actually answer questions that are relevant to you all, right? Because this is the job skills class, right? Like, this is designed to be the class that is the very last class before you kind of get pushed out of the nest out into the world. And whether your next steps are planning to, go into the working world and get a job, or you want to go to a 4-year college or university somewhere, all of that stuff might be brand new and different to you. Even getting a job in your career field might be brand new and different to you, right? Like, you might have had jobs your entire life, but now you're getting a new job in a different career. So I want these streams to be relevant to you all. And I want them to answer questions that you all have as you're approaching the precipice of this new step, this next thing. Right? And so, I can teach general topics, and I can teach all sorts of various odds and ends. Right? But I want them to be valuable to you for this course. So I want to focus this course first on questions that you all might have, interactions between you all and I. Just kind of talking about jobs, hiring, maybe moving on to a university or doing something different. That's where I want these streams to go. Right? And I'll talk about other stuff if you all absolutely just want to close off and not ask anything or do anything, but that's not the intention of this, right? The intention of this is to help as much as I can, at least. So, in saying that, today's live stream going to be really short, right? We're just going to kind of get our feet wet just a little bit here. I want to give you some more information on artifacts and what I'm meaning by artifacts before you have to turn a list of those in next Thursday. I also want to talk about the job application assignment a little more, just so we have that. But these types of specific instruction things aren't going to be usual for this course. And I have the workplace stack exchange here to give you some ideas of some stuff, right? Like, in the past, when nobody's had any questions, I've come to this stack exchange to get some stuff, see what other people's questions are, see what the hot questions are out there, and try to figure out what the questions that people have out there. Because maybe if somebody has one of these questions and they're asking on Stack Exchange, there's a likelihood that you might as well. So that's a good backup plan, right? It's a backup plan. I want to hear from you all first. So just keep that in mind as you're thinking about things over the course of the next week before our next one, next Thursday. In general, these will be a little shorter. They're going to be more laid back. So it's all good. But let's just clear up some stuff about some of the general things that are the typical usual first module stuff here. Clarifying artifacts and then clarifying the application assignment. So with your artifacts, I want you to know a couple key things. The idea of the artifact, and the artifact is going to form like the backbone of your portfolio at the end of the day. The idea of the artifact is to have something that can demonstrate and prove a skill that you claim to have. Right? So for my programming and web development students, it should be easy for you to come up with a bunch of artifacts, right? Because we have a lot of projects that we focus on and a lot of projects that we do, and you can build websites and you can do different, like, it's very, very demonstrable, right? Like, there's a lot of skills that we demonstrate regularly. For some of the others of you, for my security and networking folks, it might be a little more difficult. Right? So remember that these artifacts can be things that you've done personally or that you've done in class. So it could be personal projects that you've done, maybe some projects for work that you've done that they're okay with you sharing with other people, or class projects. Any of these are fine. The big thing being that one, they have to demonstrate a skill, right? In your resume, you're going to say you have a list of skills. For a lot of the list of skills that you have, it'd be nice if you had an artifact to back up that skill. That proves that you know what you're doing there. Now, one, we only want a limited number of artifacts. So you're going to have to be selective in what you pick and choose. You only want to put your best foot forward. Choosing artifacts, it's just as important to pick out the things that you want as it is to decide what you don't want. Right? So both of those items are key. So we want to keep it limited. Only stick to the best of the best. Remember, this is about putting your best foot forward. So that's a big one. 2, and this is a key one, and this is one that I'm going to yell at the top of my lungs for probably the entire remaining 13 weeks of the course. You get to control your narrative when you're job hunting. They only have to know the things that you let them know. If they ask you about other things that you maybe have omitted, tell them the truth, right? Be honest with them. But you don't have to offer up information that would make them look at you negatively. There's no need to say you're bad at something. Just talk about what you're good at, which is what we want to focus on in these artifacts. We want to take the things that you're good at, the things that you can demonstrate that you're good at, and present them. And, for networking and security, some of these things might be things like, if you've written any policies, if you've written any standard operating procedures for anything, if you've actually configured a network, maybe you have some maps where you've kind of drawn out the network configuration, seeing how that's going to work. Maybe you can talk about the things that you did, what you configured, so on and so forth. Right? Things that we don't want are things like, like regular worksheets. Things like you might get where you're just kind of filling them out. They're asking you questions. and you're answering questions. We don't want that. And things that need special software to open them. Right? Because that's a problem that I have with my networking students every spring in this class is, they'll want to submit packet tracers. Because packet tracers do a good job, demonstrating that you know what you're talking about and all this kind of stuff. But the packet tracer itself is a specialized software built for education. You can't trust that a hiring manager is going to have or download packet tracer to be able to look at this packet tracer that you did. So we can't really use those, right? Can't really use those. For some of you, you might have to get creative, right? Like another thing that works well is a certification. If you have A+, Net+, Security+, anything like that, those count as artifacts because that's an industry recognized credential that proves a skill. So we want projects and things of that nature that prove a skill or industry recognized certifications, A+, Net+, Security+, anything else that you might have taken. That's good too. If you don't have enough, right, and we don't really even need that many, but if you don't have enough or you don't have enough good things, well, I'm afraid that adds to your project, right? Because you got to come up with some stuff before the end of the semester. Whether it's stuff that you're doing in class now or stuff that you have to kind of go out and do on your own. Ideally, you'd have it. But if you don't have it, you got to come up with it. We need something that's going to make you stand apart from your competition in the job market. And by and large, in this case, that's going to be the artifact. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about before I stop the live stream for today is the job application assignment. And I think, I explained this in the module, in all the material. And that is, I want you to take this seriously. Some of you already have jobs, and that's great. If you like your job, that's fine. Right? Nobody's making you take a new job. You can apply for jobs without taking a new job if you get offered one. All you have to do is you tell them, thank you for the offer. However, I have another offer that I think I'd rather, I have other options that I'm going to pursue right now, basically. Thank you for the offer, but there are other options that I have that I would like to pursue at the moment. Period. Right. What we want here is we want the practice filling out applications, the practice interviewing if you get offered interviews. Maybe some of you who don't have jobs in the field yet might get offered one, which would be nice. And if you've already have a job, you know what happens in tech all the time? People get better jobs other places. So, look around at better jobs somewhere else. I mean, I don't know how many times I've heard that, somebody who was working at one data center a year ago got a better, higher paying job at another data center, and they just kind of keep going around in a circle, getting promotions and raises at different organizations every year or two. right? Working at other organizations is not necessarily a bad thing. It's going to open you up to a breadth of experiences. It's going to give you more life experience, more job experience, right? And remember that your experience is a combination of everything that you know and everything that you've done. And so the more that you can kind of incorporate that, as long as you're moving on an upward trajectory, the more that you can incorporate into your experience, the better. Right? So please take this job application assignment seriously. Apply for jobs that you'd like to have. And if you don't want to take the job, you don't have to take the job. However, if you get offers for interviews, if you get job offers, if you get a job, I'd like to know about it. I'd like to celebrate with you. So if you get any of these opportunities, please let me know, so I can share in these opportunities with you and keep a record of it so we can see how we're progressing. Right? So you do have a job application assignment due this week. The rest of Module 1 will be due next week. So with that being said, that's really all that I have for you today. So unless there are any questions in the chat, that's where we'll end it for today. I'll play the music for just a couple more minutes, take questions if there are any. If you're watching the recording and you have a question, please email it to me. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.